you. Welcome to another episode of moneystream.com.au, and today we're talking to founder and CEO of the Gyms Group, Jim Penman, with over 4,600 franchisees and growing rapidly with Australia, New Zealand and Canada franchisees. Today we're going to talk and get Jim's advice on new business, forming a new business where you're basically starting off from scratch with no leads, no jobs. And with this new social media world, Jim's going to give us some advice on how to tackle the marketing for your business. Over to you, Jim.
Yeah, well, the first thing I'd say is that it's actually fairly difficult to start a business from scratch full-time and be successful. Looking at the industries I know best, things like gardening and cleaning and so forth, the success rate, the survival rate over the first year is between 5 and 10%. And you can look this up online, it's fairly available statistics. So the great majority of people who try this fail. There's various ways to improve on that. Obviously, a franchise is one, and our success rate's about 88% in the first year. But even without that, you can buy regular clients from people, so you've got an established business already if they're regular, like mowing or cleaning or something like that. Or else another option, which I would recommend too, is to start part-time. And then we'll start weekends, evenings, and those kinds of times, which is what I did as a student. So I wasn't relying on it for income, but I gradually learned, picked up a customer base, learned the ropes, and then got to be successful. So starting from full-time from scratch can be very, very tough indeed. Now, as far as marketing is concerned, as we were just talking before, it's so different from the old days. In the old days, we used to deliver leaflets. So when I started off in 1982, basically, and it was from scratch because I dropped my previous business, I just put leaflets in letterboxes. So my wife and I just walked around leaflet like that. And that was back in 1982, and it worked all right. And then as you got bigger, we went for local papers, and then we went for the Yellow Pages as we started expanding across the city. So the regional Yellow Pages used to be good in those days too. So you'd have different Yellow Pages, different sections of the city. So that was good. In recent years, that's all gone out the window. None of that works anymore. We don't even look at the Yellow Pages. Who looks at the Yellow Pages these days? Leaflets, pretty much in my view, a waste of time. Local papers, just nowhere. Everybody goes online. So there's various things. First of all, there's this system called Google My Business. And this is something set up by Google where you can be a local listing. So if you're in Bayswater, for example, you can list yourself down with an address in Bayswater. And you have to have an actual address because they're going to post you something. They have to be street recognized. And then you go, and then you appear in the listings, and you appear fairly high up. So if somebody says, if your business was, say, pest control down the Bayswater area, if somebody calls up pest control Bayswater, you're going to come up fairly high. Now, to make that work, what you've got to do is to get yourself some reviews, because that's what people look at. They'll look at the little starred reviews there and how many you get. And the way to do that is to figure out, Google can tell you how to do it, is you've got to actually get your clients your happy clients, which I hope is a great majority, to actually give you reviews on Google. And they put those in and then they appear. Now, if you get a certain number of very good reviews, which does take time, then obviously you can, obviously that's going to help a lot. Now, I probably shouldn't say this, but one of the issues with that system is it's very easy to manage. So what you can do is you get 30 of your best mates to put in good reviews for you. I mean, that's what you can do. It's actually for that reason that I pay virtually no attention to such reviews, because they're so easy. Very few clients actually put a review in, and most of them tend to be people that have been, gotten up other people concerned, because you don't need a lot of reviews. If you have 20 good reviews in there, that's really pretty impressive, because most people won't review. Our own rating system is very different, because we actually text the clients after and ask them, and it's a very simple thing. B for bad, G for good, P for price, stuff like that. So it's B is 1 star, G is 5 star. If I wanted to know who was good in gyms, I wouldn't worry about a Google review. I'd go to our review, because our reviews are very, very difficult to fake, because you have to book a job through the system to get a review. So, and I find if somebody's got like a 4.8 review, we know they're good.
Yes.
But the point of it is, looking at it cynically from the point of view of being in business, you definitely want to get into Google My Business. You definitely want to get yourself as many good reviews as you possibly can. And that's the absolute basic. And the system favors you, because that's how Google works. They favor the local person.
Yes.
Then what you're going to do is try and work on social media. And that's just a case of, you got to post a lot of stuff. You post pictures of yourself, post stories, post anything that about you, and just keep on posting, and that pushes up your research results. So that's your basic system for running. It's slow to get going, but it is very effective once it gets going. It's actually quite characteristic in almost any business. I mean, the thing about a franchise is that you're generally busy from the word go, or very quickly after it. If your own business, even if you're very good, it's hard in the beginning. But once you get established, once you get regular clients and you get good reviews and you get, lots of referrals and so forth, it's not too difficult to actually keep going. But getting started can be really hard.
Yeah, once you build momentum, as you say, and also if I can just ask you, while you're talking about that, Jim, everything you've covered certainly is successful. You're proof of that. You've been in business over 40 years. Would you say, like staff satisfaction, client satisfaction is vital, as you say? Because I've used your service many times, and I've got to say, it's up there. Your service, the people that you got, they are up there in my view, because I've used them personally.
Customer service is absolutely the crucial thing. Look, just one simple statistic. Our average star rating amongst gyms franchisees is around 4.7 out of 5, which means something like 90% of customers that respond to the survey are happy, probably a bit more. We don't count price ones, by the way. If they're too expensive, that's a different issue. We don't put them in. But of those who respond good or bad. Of those who leave in the first year, the average star rating is 4.2. And that still means the majority of clients are happy. It's about 80%, but there's a lot more that are unhappy. And people probably on the whole tend to be nice. They're more likely to give a good review than a bad one. So if you've got something like a 4.2, it's an indication. Well, we have a system called Gyms. By the way, if you're in business for yourself and you want more work, we've got a system called Gyms Plus, where we sell our service clients to independent contractors. But with that, we actually demand that you have a good rating, because if you don't, we'll just cut you off. Which franchisees we don't actually. Franchises will work with, because they're our people. But with outsiders, if you don't get good rating, you're gone.
Protecting the brand,
Yeah, we do. And generally speaking, people Gyms Plus do give pretty good ratings. Their average rating is about 4.6 for outsiders. So, the ones that we will keep and we'll keep on giving work to are pretty good as well. But look, customer service, everything. We also did a survey once. We ask our franchisees every year to rate their income. We don't ask what they're making, but we ask them whether their income is good, satisfactory, poor. Now, last year, for example, latest figures, it was 52%, I think, was good, 7% poor, which is a bit better than usual, usually about 10, and the rest was satisfactory. Now, what you notice about that is, though, if you cross-correlate those with measures of customer service, what you find is that franchisees who've got really good customer service get very, very few have poor. It might be like, a couple of percent. But of those who, the concentration of the people who report poor income are those who are in the bottom quarter of the customer service rating. So great customer service is everything. You'll get to go back. I mean, I used to do a lot of once-off jobs that turned into regulars because I was just very good at what I did. I had a really immaculate way of mowing a lawn. I wasn't a great horticulturalist, but I knew how to make a job, and mowing job really very neat, edging and sweeping up and grasping the cracks in the paths and just really clean, never leave any grass. Even if you go into grass that's up to a meter high, you can still cut it down and make it look clean in the end. Because if you right techniques and you know how to pick it up and so. Great customer service, turning up on time. Most complaints are actually not about quality of work. They're to do with failing to call back, failing to turn up, failing to give a quote. That's the real road to success. If you do that, if you can keep going through the early stages, and I'm talking independence, of course, then you most likely will be successful.
Yes, yeah, recipe for success. And you touched on something very interesting, which I was going to ask you, but I think you've answered 90% of it. In terms of, say, and again, emphasize the way you do your business and you go through your surveys. I'll give you credit for that because it's a great system. Do you say the cost of the job? A lot of people that say go into business for the first time in business, whereas they try and get work and they keep the prices down, therefore they're working, but they're not delivering because their income is down there. Does that play a role where they should effectively look at quoting, as you say, you work for a minimum and deliver a better service, therefore your customer satisfaction is, up there?
Look, we have a benefit with the brand because reputation, and people know that they can rely on it. If something goes wrong, then we're going to fix the job and so forth. And so we can charge a bit more. Look, in the beginning, you may have to just charge a modest amount to get going. Just to give you an example, when I started off, and my business has been continually in this business since 1971. Now, in that year, I charged $1.50 an hour for gardening. At that rate, there's not much price competition. And even those days, that wasn't a lot of money. So,
wow. $1.50 a job.
$1.50 an hour, not a job, an hour.
Wow.
And then I raised it $2 a couple of years later, and then to $3, and that worked well. And then I started mowing lawns, and I put $5 for a typical lawn, which would take about half an hour. So your rate started rising in the following 4 years or so. I managed to charge respectively. But the point is, I got going. Yeah. And my clients would teach me how to do things like pruning, which I didn't know how. I had a client who had hydrangeas, and he just showed me how to clip them. I thought, I don't know. I just know how to clip hydrangeas. There's nothing difficult about it. You just cut it off the bud. So stuff like that. I learned on the job. I wasn't particularly good, but look, in the beginning, you just have to charge whatever you can to get going. And it's not an easy process, as an independent, of course. We're actually probably about 5 times as likely to tell a franchisee to raise their prices, to cut them. If anything, they underprice themselves. But the thing is, it's a different situation. If you're flat out with work and knocking back work, why would you discount?
Yeah.
Why not go to your clients that you've got, your regular ones, say, look, I'm sorry, price of petrol's gone up, which is not a bad thing. If you're in that kind of business, I'm afraid I'm going to have to raise your price from, say, $60 to $65, something like that. Yeah. And most of them will be happy with that because they're happy with you. Exactly. So once you're established, once you've got a good client base, good reputation, you know what you're doing, then you should start easing your prices up. It's an interesting thing, actually, in the industry. You'd think that gyms would be widely disliked by independents, but from what I can understand, we're not. And the two main reasons for that, from what I understand, is that people did appreciate what I did with my tussles with Daniel Andrews when I spoke for the industry a couple of years back. Yes. Because I was defending them as well. But the other thing too is what people say is that gyms sets a price. We set a decent price. If you go off the gym's price, maybe drop by 10%, but it establishes a preference. I mean, like a typical lawn these days, you'll do for about $60, but there's people who can do it for 30, and that's just ridiculous.
Oh,
you don't need to be that cheap.
Yeah.
So if you get going, you charge whatever you need to get your jobs. If you're getting too many knockbacks, then you've got to moderate your pricing. But as time goes on, then your prices got to go up. Because look, in our view is, if somebody comes to me with an idea for a franchise, I would say it's got to be able to show that the average ordinary person can make at least $60 an hour. Mm. And a lot of people would charge double that and more. So it's not the maximum, but that's the minimum, in my view, you should aim for. If you can't make $60 an hour, why are you in business for yourself?
Yes.
Now, our franchise fees are about 6%. So even if it's independent, you could probably charge, say, $50, $55 an hour quite readily on the same sort of basis. Not on an hourly rate. Don't give hourly rates. That's a terrible idea. Quote.
Mm. Yeah, no, sure. It's a bit like an industry standard. And I guess your business model, again, when you say Gyms Plus, that actually would complement any business that falls within the parameters of your business model. Because if someone's running a business, and as you say, and they're delivering quality service and work, and the clientele is very happy, and they use your Gyms Plus strategy, it's complementing their business. because your brand is so strong.
Yes. Well, we do very well. The reason why Gyms Plus is better for independents is that you only pay for the leads you take. Now, you do pay for the lead, regardless if it turns into a job, but you only pay for those. And you only get one. There's only one person being given the job. It's not like High Pages where it goes to 5 different people and they all compete to be the cheapest, which is to me a really terrible idea. With us, one person. They rung up gyms because they want quality. We refer them, we recommend somebody else. Oh, this person's good. They've had a 4.7 star rating or whatever. We actually tell the client that. Or the same thing if they're told book online. And so we recommend them. So you can charge in that context, you can charge a bit more and you don't have to be. And if you're quite sensibly, you should get most jobs in our kind of system, not obviously not High Pages.
Look, I think that's a great system because and you've been in business a very long time. You know, even to buy leads these days, sometimes it's a bit wishy-washy because you don't know where the leads are coming from. Are they real leads? What's the definition of a lead? Whereas you've got a major well-known brand where you're offering leads, as you've explained, to a small business which complements their business. You know, you're basically handing over work to them.
The biggest complaint we get is we don't give them enough leads. We just don't have enough in their area, so they would like more.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Some people like that, and other people just get filled up and they get too many because they don't need it anymore. So it's we're only actually selling about a third of our leads still, of our unserviced leads. But also partly because we knock people off if they don't give good service. I'd rather say no to a client outright than give them to somebody I'm not very confident of, because that really damages us. They say, well, I rang up gyms and I got recommended to Joe Blow and he was shocking, so I won't try gyms again. Yes,
definitely. And what's the criteria? Bless you, Jim. What's the criteria there in qualifying? Say a new business falls within the categories of your business there, Jim. What's the qualification from a new business, say, wants to use Gyms Plus to qualify?
There's no process. You just got to put your name down and your details, and we start delivering your work. First 3 leads are free, so it's you can get a feel for the thing before you go any further. After that, you've got to pay for them. So, but the requirement, like I said, is that you got to look after clients, which is pretty tough. Our system is pretty draconian. It all sounds great to talk about customer service, but I've got franchises regularly complaining to me. I'm causing them mental illness because they get so anxious about complaints.
Really?
So if you get a complaint, and a complaint could be something like ring back late, or you didn't show up for an appointment, those kind of things, or didn't give a quote within a reasonable time. The only way to wipe the complaint is to actually give me evidence that the customer is happy. Which means you've got to go to the client and do whatever you can, offer them a freebie, do the job for nothing, whatever you can to get that client to say, yes, I'm happy with the job, send it to me, I'll wipe it out. So there's quite a lot of pressure in our system. It's not all fine smelling roses and stuff. People get very anxious. And particularly the ones who get really good ratings. Like if you're a 5.0 and you get a bad rating, which is going to drop you to 4.9, that gets people really upset. So they'll do anything they can to get rid of that. Now if they can prove they did the right thing. This is the same thing with Gyms Plus as gyms. If they can prove, the client said never call me back, and they said, okay, I rang the client within 2 hours and I texted them within 2 hours, and here's the evidence. Now, if the customer missed that, well, it's not really their fault, is it? So we'll wipe it. Or if the franchisor gets involved or something and checks it out and says, no, look, he did a really good job. Technically, it's perfect. Investigated it, nothing wrong with it. Customers just wanting a whole lot of extra work done for nothing. So if they can prove the complaint was wrong, then we'll wipe it. But it's still most complaints actually get wiped eventually, either because they can be shown to be wrong or more likely because the client gets fixed. But it's still a very, very, very tough process. And there's people who leave gyms because they can't cope with it. At the same time, we get people coming from Gyms Plus who join us. I was talking to a guy the other night who who joined Gyms Plus to get jobs, and he decided the guttering was fantastic work because he can make $1,000 a day. So then he joined gyms.
Cleaning gutters.
Oh yeah, it's very good.
Wow.
And we were talking about the techniques and stuff he was doing. You know, look at the most basic gutter is $200. It doesn't take you an hour to do. It's very good money.
Yeah.
So
he's like tree lopping. Yeah, like tree
Well, yeah,
lopping.
that's another one that's very, very good money. We had some Jim's trees guys doing our trees from our backyard, and boy, jeepers, that was expensive. But you know,
Yeah.
they were good and professional. I don't object, but
No, yeah, deliver quality, you pay for it. Yeah.
you want to
Wow.
make $1,000 a day. There's plenty of ways to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of pensioners, again, now there's NDIS, and I know you're NDIS approved. A lot of NDIS customer, I mean, I live in an apartment, but yeah, I remember mum and dad, my late mother, they used to have to get it through the council to clean the gutters every month, because the next door trees, there's a tree that nearly reaches the sky and it drops leaves yeah. And, you know, the average person can't get online and do the gutters. I'd say it's very popular service. Yeah. Very, very popular service. So with Gyms Plus, to conclude, Jim, with Gyms Plus, if a business came on board, the first 3 leads are free. From what I can gather, say they had lawn mowing, they have the opportunity also to on-sell, where they can offer gutter cleaning, pruning the roses. So there's actually advantage. You're providing the lead. First 3 are free, and they've got opportunity to capitalize on that with ongoing business, correct?
Yes, exactly right. See, this is the thing. I mean, we talked about getting leads in the first place. How do you turn them into viable business? One of your first skills is upselling.
Yeah.
And you can do this very subtly. You don't actually have to ask a person, hey, can I clear your gutters? What you say to them is something like this. Look, how's the lawn look? It's pretty good. Okay, all right, fine. Look, if there's anything else you ever want done, you know, if you'd like some gardening done or gutters cleared or rubbish removed, happy to help. Okay. Just a simple statement like that. You don't ask a direct question. There's no fear of being rejected. You're not being seen as pushy. But most regular clients will actually get you to do other kinds of work, and some will get you to do a lot. And the economics are very good. So, for example, now with gutter clearing, I have to say you need to be very careful and being secure and everything else. There's working with height. There's all kinds of things to do it safely, because it is getting off the ground. Yeah. But if I'm mowing somebody's lawns, these days in Melbourne, most areas, it's about $60 for a typical lawn, which will take you a bit over half an hour, bit over. Yeah. If you clean somebody's gutters, it'll probably take you about 3/4 of an hour, which is a little bit longer. But don't forget, you're already there. Yes. But then you're charging $200. Exactly. So even if it takes you 3/4 of an hour, your hourly rate on the lawn mowing is maybe only something like $100 an hour. Yes. But your hourly rate on the guttering could be $250 an hour or $300 an hour. That's the difference. So you go and do one job and you do other jobs for the same client. Yeah. And people will like that and appreciate it. That's right. And you're also building loyalty, you know, the loyalty that and also with us, would you say in a certain clientele, say you got uncles and aunties or good neighbors, you'll get one job, the next door neighbor will talk to the neighbor, and next week you got their job, and on it goes, and it becomes like a snowball effect. And as you say, and then you'll have people that will say, Jim, I can't cope with all this work. Which is typical. Good operators always get busy. Yeah. And it's not difficult once you get going. There's other techniques too, talking about how you build your business. Obviously, you've got to get your business leads in the first place. That's the first stage. Then you look at your upselling. Yes. Then you go for referrals. Now, with referrals, you've actually got to ask for referrals. You don't just hope they'll come. Yes. First thing about referrals is that you've got to do great work. You're not going to get referrals if people aren't delighted. And I don't mean just happy, but delighted. You want somebody to look at the cleaning you've done and say, oh, wow, that's fantastic. I love what you're doing. That's so good. You're the best. That's going to get your referrals. And then what you do is you ask, but you don't ask a direct question. One of the best ways to do it is to give the client a business card. So you say, here's a business card. Yes. And here's a couple of extra in case you know anybody who needs work done. Now, you're not asked a direct question. You can't be seen as pushy. You can't be rejected, which is a real problem with people. At the same time, it lets them know that you're interested in more work and jogs their memory. Now, use that little phrase, 3 business cards, a couple of extra, that will get you referrals. Yes. Then there's other ways of building extra business too. For example, and even as an independent, you have a proper uniform and you call it, bills, carpet cleaning, whatever it is. Yes. And you must have a signed vehicle. And
Yes.
signage vehicles is really quite, so every time you go down the road, you're branding, and you always carry business cards. Now, what I would recommend too is even at the weekend, you're not working, you're going down to the shops, you
Yes.
drive your work van,
Yes.
you wear uniform, and you carry business cards.
Yes.
And wherever you go, there's the opportunity to pick up work from other people. Now, it's amazing how people neglect simple steps like that, just simply being visible. And our own research suggests that just by simply wearing uniform, you can increase the amount you can charge for a job by about 15%.
Yes, 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 absolutely. What you've just explained there in the last few points is interesting. When I worked in banking and finance for over 20 years, it reminds me Cohen Brown. They're based in Canada, the huge marketing organization, and almost identical to how you're explaining it was how, and they actually a bit like one of the fast food chains. I won't mention their name because I don't want to be, but one of the when they implemented, would you like some fries with that? Their profits doubled overnight. Exactly what you're saying, Jim. So
it's the same principle precisely.
Yes, absolutely.
Or even the assumed clues. What size fries do you want? I mean, whatever. That's McDonald's. Would you want fries with that? That's the classic.
Absolute classic. Absolute classic.
Of course, they know what they're talking about. The interesting thing about that, of course, it's the same as us doing gutters, or if you're cleaning the oven or the windows. Your actually hourly rates are a lot greater. The actual margin that McDonald's makes on fries is enormously more than what they make on hamburgers. They don't make a lot of hamburgers, make huge amounts of fries. Also drinks.
Yes.
That drink that you buy, that's only just costs a few cents to them to actually put that in.
Yeah.
It's almost zero cost. So it's the extra stuff. It's the fries and the drink that actually make the most of their money. Bingo. If they had to rely on hamburgers, they go bust.
Absolutely. Jim, thanks very much.
McDonald's is a brilliant company, actually, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
They're great at marketing. They're great in terms of training. They're great franchisors. They just got disgusting unhealthy food. But apart from that, they're a brilliant company.
Yeah, that's why I've got on your diet. Jim, thanks very much.
My kids know. Yeah, okay.
That's why I've got on that diet. Jim, thanks very much for your time. We've got another episode coming up. It won't be today, but I'd like to thank Jim Penman, founder and CEO of the Gyms Group, with over 46 franchisees and growing in Australia, Canada, and New Zealand.
I think you mean 46 divisions, John. We've got more than 46 franchisees these days.
4,600, franchisees. But we've got a lot to talk about in other setups. So anyone interested in starting a new business and getting advice, Jim offers free training as well, Jim. I'll have the links in the description. And Jim, we'd like to thank you very much. And if anyone has any questions, please contact me through my channel, or I'll have Jim's direct contact details in the link. And we'll catch you on the next episode of moneystream.com.au. Bye for now.